really and truly what you want to do at a conference is to strike up genuine connections, get people to know you, and so that they can see that you're a trustable person, that you're a friendly human being. Because in the end of the day, people like to do business with people they trust and they like. Okay, so that is the goal of a conference. Get people to know you and to trust you. And then you can do business afterwards.
You're listening to 15-Minute Mastery, a show that empowers you with insights from leading iGaming experts to enhance your personal or business performance. The show is brought to you by the AI-powered data analytics platform Blask and supported by tech-driven affiliate and media company Already Media, Lala Stars, the leading casino partnership program, and Next.io, the world's iGaming community. Hey everyone, and welcome back to 15-Minute Mastery. Today we're joined by the one and the only Pierre Lindh. Pierre is the co-founder of Next.io, the world's iGaming community. He has built one of the industry's most influential communities through media and events. We're very excited to explore his insights on building authority and influence in the iGaming sector. Welcome, Pierre.
Thank you so much, Ima. That was a great introduction. You're a good hype man, my friend.
Thanks a lot, mate. I'm a big fan, first of all, and the brand and the community you guys built is truly iconic and remarkable, and everyone wants to be a part of it. So I want to start with the first question about the status, because we work in a very status-driven industry where building your profile is very important. So I wanted to ask you, what are the key elements that help establish credibility in this industry?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dima, and you're absolutely right that as we go along in this kind of status-driven industry, and an industry that is small enough to kind of know everyone, but it's at the same time is a huge industry in a really funny way. I think what is really important, whether you are looking to build kind of a big profile of the industry or just to navigate your career in general, is to be consistent. To me, consistency is everything. You know, I've been in this industry since I was 17 now, 17, 18. I started my poker club in the very early days of the poker boom. And since very early days, I always focused on trying to deliver what I promise, essentially. It doesn't mean that I have to be the best in the world or the smartest in the world or even the hardest working in the world. I mean, I work hard, but I'm sure there are people who work harder than me. But I think what I pride myself in is to be consistent in my delivery. And so when we've navigated building our company and me building my personal brand, if I promise something, I try to take those words very seriously. If I say I'm going to deliver this by Friday, it is something very serious that I'm putting out to that person. And I think that is the number one key to start building your profile. And if you can be known as a person who delivers what they promise, then you will definitely rise in the ranks as you move through your career and you start building your profile to the industry.
Yeah, absolutely love it, mate. Thanks for the advice. And I think, iGaming where trust plays the most important role for the players as well. This is where on the B2B side of things, we need to follow the same model. So I really like your advice here. So which leads me to actually the next question about relations, because you built really strong relationships with industry leaders. And Next.io events are well known for networking. So I wanted to ask you, what role does networking play in establishing influence, and how can people network more effectively?
Yeah, this is also a great question, Dima, because let's just think about this for a second. And this is something we think a lot about in Next. I think it's really, really important thing that not everyone thinks about. But there is a lot of personality types in this industry. And when we organize our events, we need to think about that. There are people who are extroverts. And generally, when you go to conferences, they are built for extroverts, right? If you're an extroverted person at a conference, you'll have an easy time to meet people and connect and build that network that you're looking for. But at the same time, there are a lot of introverts in the industry as well, who are also looking to build network and to advance their careers. And those personality types might have a lot of really interesting things to say. They have obviously a fantastic skill set, just like an extrovert. An extrovert is not better than an introvert. It's just two different personality types. So the question that we face ourselves with is how do we create environments that are beneficial and comfortable and network friendly for both extroverts and introverts. But then you can also say there are people who have a great network already that will easily blend into the conference kind of groups, let's say, whereas there are other individuals who are just starting out their journey into the iGaming industry who may also have really, really interesting skill sets, but they don't know anyone, right? So how do you create a conference experience for them to make it as easy as possible for them to network also? So we can break this down in how many ways you want, but there are many different personality types, and the responsibility for us is to try to create environments where we cater to as many personality types as possible. Some people like to network over a beer, others like to network in the morning over a coffee. There are so many ways to break this down, and I think as an individual you need to think about what are the areas where you feel comfortable to have those conversations with, and to strike up that network, and then try to find yourself into those activities where you find yourself at your best self, let's say, where you can present yourself the best possible way. I think a really important key and role in this is to not force yourself to exert yourself too much, especially in a conference environment. There are I think when you start off in the industry as a young professional, you kind of have a chip on your shoulder to be out the latest, to go to everything, to never miss a second of any moment of the conference, to book yourself from 9 in the morning to 5 p.m. every single day at the conference with meetings back to back to back to back to back. And for some people, that might be the right strategy, but I think for most people, including myself, having 15-minute meetings back to back for 9 hours is completely useless. First and foremost, because you can get a feeling at the event and at the meetings that these are really positive meetings, like everyone wants to do business with me. But then next week, everyone has already forgotten what they said in the meetings. Everyone has forgotten it. So what you need to do then is to follow up with a new meeting and then reiterate what you said in the meeting during the conference, making that meeting at the conference completely moot. It's pointless. I mean, really and truly what you want to do at the conference is to strike up genuine connections, get people to know you, and so that they can see that you're a trustable person, that you're a friendly human being. Because in the end of the day, people like to do business with people they trust and they like. Okay, so that is the goal of a conference. Get people to know you and to trust you. And then you can do business afterwards. And yeah, fair enough. If you have the opportunity to strike a deal or two at the conference, of course, go for it. Some roles are different. They are more transactional and so on. But for those of us who are in a more relationship-driven environment, that should be the focus, like not the transactional conversations.
This is probably the best ever advice I heard about the conference and the networking strategy itself. I wish I had it back when I was like 20 years old, and I wish I never went for this like a crazy speed dating back then, because I truly believe, and I absolutely agree with you, it's more about authenticity, about trust, about credibility. So thank you so much for it. Hearing this from one of the industry leaders will be very important for everyone. So let's go and talk a little bit about the content, because this is something which many people say Next.io is all about the strong content, about thought leadership. So I wanted to hear your advice here. So iGaming is flooded with content and press releases. How can individuals and companies cut through the noise and build genuine authority?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question, Dima. And for any B2B marketer or B2B people that are listening to this, I can tell you from first-hand experience when partners come to us and they want to produce paid content with us, that it is a mixed bag of professionalism. So we have some partners that come to us and they want to promote their company and they want to talk about the latest tool that they have built or software and so on and so forth. And people love to talk about themselves and they find their own company incredibly interesting. And every company has its own story and every company is interesting. But you need to remember that the world is full of noise. You know, if I am going to say me personally, I want to listen to a podcast. I have the choice of listening to The Diary of a CEO, which we talked about Steve Barlett earlier. I have the choice to listen to my own podcast, Next.io or Joe Rogan or whatever is your favorite podcast, Lex Friedman, you know. And so if you want to put out a piece of video content, for example, you need to be very acutely aware that you are competing against this content, right? This is world-class content. So if you want to create a content piece, you need to have a really strong hook into that content piece, not from your own perspective or what you personally find interesting, but the target audience, the person that you are targeting to watch this piece of content. How do you get this person engaged into this particular piece of content? So number one rule is like you can never be generic, because if you are generic, you are just in a sea of a million content pieces. And so you need to stand out with this content piece. You need to have a very strong hook into the content piece. Then you can always, if you want to promote that particular piece of software, we create a content piece that is related to that niche within the industry and whatnot. Then we can always, kind of sandwich in some promotion into that promotion. But the purpose of watching the content should always be something else than self-promotion. Like really, like how many people want to listen to a self-promotional podcast piece? Like it doesn't work like that. You need to find some really interesting and engaging format to the podcast. Same goes for written content. It's easier to get people to read than to listen. It's very hard to get people to listen to content because it's a big commitment. Easier to get people to read, but nonetheless, the same principle still applies. You need a strong hook into the content, and you need to deliver to that hook as well. Because if you deliver content pieces, if you are a brand and you are really great at creating hooks, but then the content is poor, then people will start to know they will get to know that this is generally not a brand that can produce interesting content. So the content needs to match that hook. It needs to be really interesting content as well. And so in order to do that, you need to do your homework, really. I mean, it comes down to, if the more effort you put into this particular content piece, the more research you do, the more engagement you will eventually get back. But also the better reputation you will build to future content pieces. I think you, Dima, have done a really great job on that front, for example, where you've been kind of making yourself known as an industry leader with deep knowledge. And whenever you share content pieces, the industry listens, and that comes from just being consistent over time with your delivery. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Thanks a lot for this advice, mate, and thanks a lot for the kind words. Let me dig a little bit deeper into this. So content and mediums, they're closely tied to each other. And our industry got a lot of platforms to build this visibility and authority. Conferences, media, awards, social media. So how should people and companies prioritize these different channels?
Yeah, so it really depends on what type of brand you are. When we work with new partners, we always ask them, first and foremost, a series of questions. And I think the most basic question is, what are you looking to achieve? Are you looking to just get your brand out there? Are you looking for brand visibility? Are you looking for lead generation? Or are you looking to establish yourself as a thought leader? Right? So these are usually the kind of three ways we break down in how we deliver on partnerships to our partners. And so I think it is just really important to understand where you are on these fronts, what type of company you are, or what type of brand you're looking to establish. Personally, I think it is really important not only to produce, let's say, content or to market your brand in whatever media partner produces the most eyeballs, but it's also really important to partner with someone who also stands for the brand attributes that you want to stand for. Because if you put your brand next to low integrity media partner, your brand perception will also go down, even if you get a lot of eyeballs, for example. Like, you want to be associated with high integrity media partners, let's say, if that is the type of brand that you are looking to build. But I believe that most of the companies in the industry would agree that they are trying to establish themselves as a trustable brand, right? And then you want to work with trustable partners. So I would say, Dima, that like my general advice is to don't focus too much on the media partners that will produce the most eyeballs, because it is also really important on who is watching your content, and not only how many eyeballs you can get. And then by extension also, what are the partners in the industry that bring integrity to their brand. And I would say, like, that is like a general advice that I don't think most B2B partners are thinking about. And then the rest, like what they should think about in terms of different channels, it's just so wildly different from brand to brand. Everyone wants really different things, depending on, again, if it is brand visibility, if it is thought leadership, or if it is direct lead generation. But any B2B marketer should be really aware of where they are on that continuum. Like, what is it that they are looking for? Because not everyone is aware of that. Some marketers just go in with like, oh yeah, we want to do visibility, but like they aren't really that aware of for what purpose, for what reason. So I would say that would be like the advice that I can give on that front on a more general basis.
It's truly amazing advice, Pierre, and I think every question and the advice you gave us here is truly remarkable, and they will bring a lot of value to anyone who listens to this episode. I really enjoyed our conversation, Pierre. It was an awesome episode. Thanks a lot for joining us today, and I cannot wait to chat with you once again soon.
Thank you so much, Emma.